Help, who will help me? On the Protagonist forum, Billy is still sending out messages for help. This guy was restrained with all his strength, not only unable to move, but also put into a space bag. But Billy can also operate his own Protagonist panel. This guy was inside, constantly sending out SOS messages. However, how can the Protagonist come to save him? People in this world are not simple. Is this the first Protagonist caught by the natives? Everyone, be careful, there are gods in this world. I found that in addition to the backward technology in this world, the magicians in this world are really perverted. If you give them a hint, they can study everything for you. On the Protagonist forum, watching Billy's distress message, many protagonists were discussing there. Originally, as a traverser, he was selected as the Protagonist, and each has their own gold finger. Each of these protagonists is a little inflated, and they also have a sense of superiority as a traveler. But who knows, it didn't take long before the Protagonist was first killed. Now, there is another Protagonist caught by the indigenous. It's over, there are villains. Billy was sending a message for help, and found that there was a villain around in the prompt on the panel. He was suddenly a little desperate. Then, the surroundings change. There is light outside. He was in the space bag, dark and invisible. Worse than being locked in a small dark room. Finally saw the light. But Billy was not happy, because no one knew what was waiting for him. Soon, he felt himself floating. Immediately afterwards, he floated out of the space bag. When Billy looked, he saw a magnificent hall. Looking at it again, Billy saw that an outrageously handsome man was standing in the middle of the hall, looking at him indifferently. Through the Protagonist panel, Billy instantly knew that this man was the villain. Sky. Dean Molina actually brought him to the villain. Who is this villain who can actually drive Dean Molina? Before Billy had time to think, he saw that red light appeared in the man's eyes. Next second. If Billy gets hit hard, he doesn't know anything. In the castle, Molina was sitting on the balcony, eating fruit, watching Sumo's prosperous territory. After handing Billy to Sumo, Molina waited outside. She doesn't know what Sumo does Billy. She wasn't interested either. For her, seeing Sumo was the happiest thing. However, she also won't stay by when Sumo is dealing with things. In the hall. Soon, Sumo knew everything he wanted. With the eyes of Succubus, it is an authentic cross-dimensional attack to deal with these weak protagonists. This Billy couldn't resist Sumo's Succubus eyes at all. Krypton Gold System. Sumo whispers. This Billy is also a bronze-level protagonist. His gold finger is a system that can make Krypton gold stronger. Unlike the protagonist of the ring stream, the protagonist of the system stream is more disadvantaged in the early stage, but it grows very fast. Like the protagonist of the ring stream, that is, the previous Limang, the grandfather of the ring in his ring still has a legendary attack. This is a very powerful means of life-saving in the early stage. Don't look at Lee busy being taken care of easily by Sumo. But that was when Sumo had traveled 20 years in advance and had become a demon god. If it was another bronze-level villain, after Li Mongbing made a dangerous move, he would most likely be killed by Limang. Billy didn't get off to a great start. But this guy is really hard to kill. This guy is valued at the Holy Moon Magic Academy with the magical talent exchanged by the system, and then he can quickly become stronger with his own system. As long as he is careful, no one can move him in the Holy Moon Magic Academy. Just like another villain, there's nothing you can do about Nabil. Unfortunately, he meets Sumo. After figuring these out, Sumo didn't rush to kill Billy. Because he wanted to find a way to get Billy's gold finger, which is the Krypton Gold System. The gold finger of the system flow is more difficult to obtain than the gold finger of the ring flow. For the gold finger of the ring flow, you only need to grab the ring and spend the villain value to make it your own. The gold finger of the system flow is not so simple. The system can't be seen or touched, even Sumo can't see Billy's system. Only Billy could see it. The system seems to be bound to the soul. Even if Sumo sends a demon to occupy Billy's body, there is no way to see Billy's system. Now, Sumo is afraid that after killing Billy, his kryptonite system will dissipate directly. After thinking about it, Sumo turned on all the magic circles in the entire hall. There are several magic circles in this hall. Last time, the holy magic circle that the legendary soul sensed was only the most superficial level. In fact, this magic circle has reached the level of a god. God-level magic circle. In the magic circle, Sumo can release the succubus blood without any problem. However, to be on the safe side, Sumo rarely releases succubus blood in the world of gods. Here, after all, is the territory of the heaven. When illuminated by the divine light of the gods in the heavens, where there is a demonic aura, the Holy See will be notified as soon as possible. Although this world is somewhat backward in technology, it is not generally developed in terms of magic. This time, in order to deprive Billy of the Krypton gold system, Sumo opened all the magic circles. After completely isolating the hall from the outside world, he released his succubus blood. When the succubus bloodline was released, terrifying energy surged throughout the hall. Sumo is once again that terrifyingly powerful demon god. What? At this time, Sumo made a discovery. Because, after he released the succubus bloodline and became a demon god, the villains panel actually disappeared. No matter how much Sumo called, it didn't come out. Sumo's heart moved, and the succubus bloodline was hidden again. Immediately afterwards, Sumo discovered that the villain panel appeared. After Sumo tried this several times over and over again. Finally, he was sure. When his succubus bloodline appeared and turned into a demon god, he was not judged as a villain. So, because I hid the succubus bloodline before, so in the judgment, only the human side was judged to be the villain? Sumo speculates. This conjecture should be correct. This finding did not make Sumo have much mood swings. This, for him, is naturally beneficial. It also means that his devilish side is even less likely to be noticed by others. This will also be his biggest trump card. In the future, if he turns into a demon god and goes to some protagonists, those protagonists will not even know that this frightening demon god is actually a villain. After figuring this out, Sumo unleashed the succubus bloodline, restoring the power of the demon god. Then, Sumo's power invaded Billy's body, and he wanted to see if the power of God could find out where the system was. In the hall, Billy was still in a state of lost soul. Even that legendary soul can't stop Sumo's succubus eyes, let alone him. Although it is a traveler and has gold finger, it is too weak after all. Who is not yet a traveler? The power of Sumo has completely enveloped Billy. Soon, Sumo discovered that there was an invisible force that enveloped Billy. Although the current Sumo has the power of the devil, he has no way to know any information about this protagonist and villain confrontation game from Billy. Sumo quickly understood why. After he completely released the succubus bloodline, in the judgment, he became the indigenous god of this world. That is to say, a protagonist or villain is caught by other gods in the world of gods. This god controls his soul, and there is no way to know the information of this confrontation. Having figured this out, Sumo continued to investigate. Soon, he found that although the power of God was powerful, because he was judged as a native, it became more difficult to find Billy's system. Sumo pondered for a while, and slowly disappeared the blood of the succubus. The speed of elimination is not fast, his power is also declining. At the same time, due to Sumo's deliberate actions, his human bloodline is slowly emerging. Then, the villain panel appeared. Got you. Sumo's eyes narrowed. In this way, he managed to find where the system is. Next second, Billy instantly turned into fly ash and was killed directly by Sumo. After Billy was killed, Sumo's hands moved quickly. Immediately afterwards, an invisible thing was captured by Sumo. After capturing it, Sumo quickly stuffed this invisible thing into the villain panel. In the villain panel, soon, an item information appeared. Krypton Gold System. The protagonist gold finger, bronze level, costs 100 villain points to obtain permission. Information about the item appears. Sumo took another shot and grabbed a lot of luck, the protagonist belonging to Billy. Krypton Gold System. Sumo smiled. This Krypton Gold System was successfully captured by him. With the power of God alone, there is no way to capture it. Because this thing is equivalent to insulation for the indigenous of this world. But the human side of Sumo is itself a villain. So, Sumo managed to capture it. So, if other villains kill the protagonist of the system flow, the possibility of getting their gold finger is not high. Sumo thought. The level of this Krypton Gold System is not high, only the bronze level. If the level is higher, the difficulty obtained will be higher. After getting the Krypton Gold System, and incorporating it into one's own, the villain value required is not much. Only need 100 villain value. It happened to be the villain value obtained by killing Billy. On the contrary, it is more difficult to extract the system. Sumo scanned his own panel. Player, Sumo. Villain nickname. Phantom faction. Villains. Occupation. Count of the Blackstone land of the New Moon Kingdom. Level. Bronze villain value, 300 200s airluck, 50. Warning distance. 50 kilometers items. Bronze ring, Krypton gold system, unauthorized. Rank. None. When Sumo killed Li Bang, he got 200 villain points, and it cost 100 villain points to collect the ring and summon a ring grandpa. Just killed Billy and got another 100 villain points. So, Sumo now has 200 villains left. Killing Billy this time, the harvest is not bad. After the kill, Sumo also grabbed a lot of luck again. Due to the experience, this time I grabbed more luck than the last time. Kill a few more protagonists, and the luck value will become positive. Sumo thought about it, and directly used 100 villain value to incorporate this Krypton gold system. Let's see how this system is used. You have successfully obtained the Krypton gold system permission. After the 100 villain value was consumed, the Krypton gold system was successfully incorporated by Sumo. System, come out. Sumo thought about it and shouted in his mind. Soon, a panel appeared in Sumo's field of vision. This panel should be the panel of the Krypton gold system. The Krypton gold system was thus incorporated by Sumo. Experience potion, talent potion, magic skill book, magic potion book, alchemy skill book. In the system exchange area, a lot of things appeared. These things can be exchanged for gold coins. Bronze level gold finger has a lot of restrictions. The level of things is not particularly high, and it has a lot of requirements on the strength of the system host. There is no limit to the number of exchanges. However, once the number of exchanges reaches a certain level, the price starts to soar. With Billy's gold coin, it would take some effort to use this Krypton gold system to become stronger. Because Billy didn't start with much gold. Billy's identity is not comparable to that of the first protagonist, Li Mang, who was killed by Sumo. Li Busy's identity is the heir of a baron family, and his identity is not bad. Billy's identity is that of an ordinary commoner, and what the family lacks the most is money. Look. The gold finger of different protagonists is also related to the identity of the protagonist. If you give a Krypton gold system to a protagonist who has a wealth of wealth after crossing, then the protagonist will be against the sky. Now, after this Krypton gold system was acquired by Sumo, it is equivalent to being the richest man in the world, with a system that becomes stronger with kryptonite. As soon as Sumo's hand moved, a mountain of gold coins was released from a space ring. There are too many gold coins. In the splendid hall, a hill was piled up. These gold coins are only a small part of what Sumo has. Then, Sumo started searching. A basic experience potion, only 5 gold coins, is very much for Billy, but for Sumo, it is too cheap. Bought 3 copies straight away. After 3 copies, if you buy more, the price of each copy will continue to increase. But Sumo continued to buy without blinking. I didn't stop until I bought all the elementary experience potions in the exchange area. Then, he started buying magic talent potions again, which cost more, but Sumo didn't blink an eye. After buying, Sumo went on to buy other things. Gold coins are constantly being spent. In the system exchange area, everything was quickly sold out. This scene. It's like a scene of 0 yuan shopping. All sweep. On the floor of the hall, the gold coins kept disappearing, and next to the gold coins, the things exchanged from the Krypton gold system piled up like a mountain. Soon, all the elementary things were exchanged. Intermediate things have great requirements on the strength of the system host. Sumo's heart moved, and part of the succubus bloodline was released, and the strength he showed was different. This is actually cheating, but only part of the succubus bloodline is released, and the system can't tell the difference. So, Sumo can be redeemed again. Sumo started sweeping again. Items of different levels require different levels of strength. But this kind of strength limit, for Sumo, does not exist at all. Sumo easily broke through the limit of strength. Whether it is a magic guide level, a big magic guide level, or a forbidden spell level. There is no way to limit Sumo. As for coins. Is Sumo still short of gold coins? Then. Soon, the entire system store was bought cleanly as if it had been purchased for 0 yuan by many people. Is this gone? Sumo looked at the things in the system store and was speechless. It didn't cost a lot of gold coins. There was actually nothing in the system store. All were bought by him. The bronze level gold finger is still not very powerful. However, it seems to be better than Grandpa Ring. Something more. Of course, the premise is that you have enough gold coins. Grandpa Ring also has some advantages. For ordinary protagonists, there is an extra life-saving hole card in the early stage, and there are people to guide. When Sumo saw it, he spent more than 1 million gold coins in total. Well, for him, more than 1 million gold coins. really can only be described as just myself. In this world, the purchasing power of a gold coin is equivalent to 10,000 yuan before crossing. More than 1 million gold coins, it is equivalent to more than 10 billion before crossing. With so much money, buying all the things in the Krypton gold system can almost make a person grow from an ordinary person to an existence above the forbidden magic level in a short period of time. It's too weak. Sumo wasn't addicted. I originally thought that after getting the Krypton gold system, I could buy and buy like crazy. He has too many gold coins. Who made making money so easy for him? Sumo doesn't actually make money for the sake of making money. Inventing things from another world is just to infiltrate the world of the gods. For him, gold coins are enough. Too many gold coins, meaningless. After all, he is a demon. Come to a Krypton gold system, just right. Who knows? This Krypton gold system is so useless, the contents inside were directly swept away by Sumo. If the system is smart, it is estimated that this is the most silent one of the system. After all, it is also a gold finger. It's so shameless to be directly emptied. Sumo took another look, and the exchange area of the Krypton gold system was indeed empty. There is nothing left. Don't know when it will be able to refresh again. Seeing that there was nothing in the Krypton gold system, Sumo directly closed the panel and looked at the exchanged things. These things are not very high level. After all, it is a bronze level gold finger. It seems that if you want to use these gold fingers to enhance the power of the gods, the bronze level gold fingers are not enough. Sumo thought. Bronze level gold finger, the benefits you get from it. There will not be much improvement in the power of Sumo. However, the human side can be used. In addition, it can also be used to train subordinates. Fine. These gold fingers can be upgraded. Well, I have to find some more protagonists. Sumo thought about it for a while, and called Nancy, asking Nancy to increase the reward and let the people in the darknet take further action. At the same time, he also gave Nancy hundreds of thousands of gold coins to let Nancy use the intelligence networks of other forces. He wants to find all the protagonists hidden near the New Moon Kingdom. After letting Nancy arrange it, Sumo put away the remaining gold coins. Then, he put away the mountains of things that were exchanged from the Krypton gold system. These things, Sumo can use some himself, and then use some for his subordinates, to improve the strength of the human side. His human strength is actually not bad. Even if he hides the succubus bloodline, his physical quality is still strong. Now, it is a powerful Sky Knight comparable to the existence of the forbidden spell, slashing Sumo with a big sword. Sumo stood there still, not even breaking the skin. But this is only the quality of the body, and other powers on the human side are not enough. After putting it away, Sumo moved his hand lightly to remove the magic circle in this hall. His whole body has returned to normal. Then, he left this hall and came to the heights of the castle. There, Melina was drinking coffee comfortably. Seeing Sumo coming, Melina showed a charming smile. "Brother Sumo, are you ready?" Melina asked. Although she looks like an extremely charming and beautiful woman, she is not very old, only in her 30s. It looked like he was 24 or 5 years old. For a magician above the forbidden spell level, this age is not too big. The lifespan of high-level magicians is generally relatively long. With Melina's current strength and magic power to nourish her body, it would not be a problem for her to live for hundreds of years. As for the problem of aging, it will also become slow. Although she is in the Holy Moon Magic Academy, she is the goddess in the hearts of countless people. But in front of Sumo, Melina at this time was like a teenage girl. Sumo. Well, it's done. After saying that, Sumo looked at Melina. 4 eyes facing each other. Embarrassment appeared in Melina's eyes. Then, she stepped forward gently and leaned against Sumo's arms. Listening to Sumo's powerful heartbeat, a trace of satisfaction appeared on Melina's beautiful face. For so many years, her favorite is to lean on Sumo's arms like this. This reminded her of the night when all her parents and relatives were killed by horse thieves more than 10 years ago. When the horse thief was about to rape her, Sumo came out with one sword and one sword. At that time, after Sumo killed all the horse thieves, looking at her heartbroken, he held her in his arms and told her that in the future, he would be her brother. Brother Sumo, I am now the Deputy Dean of the Holy Moon Magic Academy. After a while, I will be able to become a legendary mage. When I become a legendary mage, let me be by your side in the future. Melina said softly. Sumo stroked Melina's hair and said, Melina, the situation has changed now. I still need you to be in the Holy Moon Magic Academy, if possible, You should join the Magic Council of the Continent of the Gods. Are you there? Magic House. Brother Sumo, I can do it. Although she really wanted to stay with Sumo every day, but when she heard that Sumo needed it, Melina still said without hesitation. Brother Sumo, since I can't be by your side all the time, let me tonight. This is my voluntary. Melina's voice dropped. This night, time became very slow. The realm of time, even if Sumo is a demon, has not yet been touched. That's the realm all the gods want to reach. However, at some point, whether it is humans or gods, there will be some changes in the perception of time. For example, this night, time passed very slowly. Until the next morning, you will feel that time flies a little too fast. The heights of the castle. In the bedroom, it is as warm as spring. Melina, who only fell asleep when it was almost dawn, fell into a deep sleep. There was a happy smile on the corner of his mouth. Sumo hugs her lightly. In fact, in the past, Sumo had always regarded Melina as her younger sister. Until once he came back from the abyss and accidentally leaked the breath belonging to the succubus. It happened to be discovered by several temple knights at that time. At that time, Sumo was not yet a demon. The strength is far less powerful than it is now. However, after seeing several temple knights deal with Sumo, Melina unhesitatingly exerted her power to help Sumo block the divine light from the sky. Then, Melina shot with Sumo and killed the powerful Templar knights. In that battle, Sumo was also injured. Melina took Sumo into the Holy Moon Magic Academy, and the people of the Holy Seas searched for a long time, but they did not find Sumo. How could they have thought that Sumo was right under their noses? It was also in the Holy Moon Magic Academy that Melina gave her body to Sumo. Until now, every once in a while, Melina would sneak over here. In the Holy Moon Magic Academy, she is the goddess in the eyes of countless people, but here in Sumo, she is a little bird and she is obedient to Sumo. Melina didn't wake up until noon. Brother Sumo. Melina's face was still red when she saw Sumo. Seeing her expression, Sumo has some. After more than an hour, Sumo gave her some of the things she exchanged from the Krypton gold system. These things won't greatly improve the power of Sumo, but they should help her break through the legend faster. I'm leaving, Brother Sumo. Melina was a little reluctant. She can't stay with Sumo for too long, lest people find out about her relationship with Sumo. After Sumo gave her a hug, Melina reluctantly boarded the ship and left. Master, I found a lot of suspicious things, and it will take some time to confirm. After Melina left, Nancy reported. Nancy, you don't need to confirm. As long as it is suspicious and the identity of the other party is not high, if you can take it directly, get it over and talk about it, if not, put it back. Sumo said lightly. Yes, Master. Nancy wrote. Remember, it is better to kill 1,000 by mistake than to let one go. Sumo said again. Nancy lowered her head and said she was taught, yes, Master. In fact, for the succubus, this kind of kill can be executed in another way. That is to kill all suspicious people. Succubus is also a type of demon, and to humans, they are evil. This kind of evil is not a derogatory term in the abyss, but an attribute of the abyss itself. In the abyss, there is no concept of good and evil, and hunting and being hunted are the norm in the abyss. Talking about good and evil in the abyss, that's idiot behavior. If the succubuses had enough power, they wouldn't blink an eye in order to fulfill Sumo's order to kill all the people of a country. For them, God's command is everything. Therefore, Sumo's commands tend to be more specific. The reason why Nancy was left in the world of gods by Sumo was because she understood Sumo's orders better. Sumo doesn't want to kill too many people who are not the main character, not the virgin, but to avoid causing too much movement. Therefore, if the suspicious person caught, if not the protagonist, Sumo will let Nancy let go. Haha, compared to other protagonists, am I the easiest one? In a city, a person's self-talk sounded. He was walking around in the downtown area. Every now and then, I stretch out my hand and poke next to someone. To others, he looks like an ADHD patient, but in fact, every time he pokes, he will have a good harvest. You picked up strength plus 0.2. You picked up fire magic experience plus 5. You. On the panel, with his actions, messages kept appearing. Near the Magic Academy, the gains are indeed greater, but unfortunately, there is no chance to see those powerful magicians, otherwise the gains will be even greater. The man muttered to himself. This person is also a protagonist with gold finger. Also, his gold finger is fun, is to pick up attributes. In his sight. there will be some light clusters around some people. As long as he pierces the light clusters, he can get some attribute values. These light clusters are not fixed, and they will disappear over time. In his guess, these should be some of the power that others exude when cultivating or doing things, but no one can see it and no one can get it. Through his gold finger, a system for picking up attributes, he was able to obtain these attributes. He has discovered the law: the stronger the person, the greater the benefit he gets after the bubble around him is punctured. It's a pity that, in his current status, there is no way to come into contact with the existence of Too Strong. He has been wandering around the Magic Academy for the past 2 days. The harvest is really good. It's just that he didn't encounter a Too Strong magician or knight. Many powerful magicians and knights like to practice, and one practice is not short. Magicians, in particular, study magic, and it is possible to stay out of the house for a few years. The bronze level system limit is still too big, and the number of times you can pick it up per day is very limited. When you accumulate some power, you still have to find a way to kill a few villains and upgrade your gold finger. The protagonist thought. Although gold finger is good, it is still a bit uncomfortable due to the level restrictions. Fortunately, for him now, the bronze level gold finger is enough. In the past few days, his strength has risen a lot. If you pick up some more magical talent, you can infiltrate the Magic Academy. Then, it's time for me to show off my skills. The protagonist thought happily. His gold finger can be said to be the winning type. He doesn't need to do too much himself. As long as he can come into contact with a strong enough existence and keep picking up attributes, he can continue to become stronger. Although the gold finger level is low and limited. However, when the strength rises, it is not difficult to hunt down villains and upgrade gold finger. Moreover, compared with other protagonists, he believes that he is less likely to be exposed. He just wanders around every day. With so many people in this city, who would notice him? His early warning range is twice that of the villain, and as long as he avoids the villain, he can grow respectfully. Hey, the bubbles on that person are so big. At this time, the protagonist found that the bubbles on a person were a bit big. The strength of this person should be good. At this time, the man was walking towards the other side of the street. After the protagonist found out, he quickly chased after him. I want to poke the bubbles on him. As long as it is broken, today's harvest will definitely be good. He quickly chased after him. The man quickly walked into a side street. The protagonist followed suit. However, just after chasing in, a wooden stick suddenly fell from the sky. Although the protagonist's strength has broken through the first rank, the strength of the person who attacked him was obviously stronger. Before he could react, he was knocked unconscious by a stick. It was said above that Ning would kill 1,000 people by mistake, and you should not let one go. Take this back first. If it is the person you are looking for, we will make a fortune. Well, give him some cartilage powder, then tie him up and send him back. Conversation sounded. So, the protagonist, who was still happily imagining the future just a moment ago, was tied up like this and put in a sack. Then, it was carried away by a carriage, ready to be transported to a place outside the city, and then picked up by a flying boat. Master, this group of suspicious people. Early the next morning, a flying ship sailed into Sumo's castle. Several people were arrested. In order to catch more protagonists, Sumo gave the order that he would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let go of one. Of course, if it is not the protagonist, Sumo will generally inject some false memories into these people, and put these people back to avoid causing too much movement. During the day, the flying ship brought a batch, but none of them were the protagonists. Now it's the second batch, and it's coming from the other direction. These people were packed in sacks, their hands and feet were tied, and they couldn't move. After being released, one by one is still in a coma. Sumo's eyes swept over these people. Soon, his eyes stopped on a person. This time, the harvest was good, although a few wrong people were caught, but there was still one protagonist. Nancy, keep this and put everyone else back. Sumo said. Yes, master. Nancy waved her hand, and a few men came in and took the others away. After these people left, Sumo opened the magic circle. Then, a red light appeared in his eyes. Pick up attributes? After 10 minutes, Sumo smiled. Good harvest this time. The gold finger of the protagonist is also a system. Bronze level pickup system. For him, the function of this system is more useful than the bronze level Krypton gold system. The people that the protagonist can reach now are too weak. What attributes can they pick up? But Sumo is different. He also has the identity of a devil. Sumo is the other demon gods who have access to the abyss. In the abyss, there are also many demon gods. This system might also be helpful to Sumo's demonic side. Deprive this system first, and then go to other demon gods to talk to each other. Sumo thought. After one experience, the second deprivation system is much simpler for Sumo. The blood of the succubus appeared little by little, and his power continued to increase. When increased to a critical point, Sumo sensed where the system was. Then, Sumo slammed and killed the protagonist. A killer, Sumo quickly shot, grabbed the system and put it on the villain panel. After doing all this, Sumo hasn't stopped. Taking another shot, he grabbed a lot of the protagonist's aerodynamics. After the grab, Sumo looked at the panel. The luck value has increased again, from -50 to -25. Get another protagonist, his luck value should be positive. You still have to pay attention to things like luck. It doesn't affect you in a short time. After a long time, you will find that it is very likely that the whole world is targeting you. Of course, this time span needs to be very long. Moreover, after the villain has risen to the silver level, he can also use the villain value to reverse his luck. It's just that the villain value is limited, you can directly grab the luck. Why waste the villain value? Pick up the attribute system. The protagonist Gold Finger, bronze level, consumes 100 villain points to obtain permission. On the villain panel, Sumo has already seen the information of the pickup attribute system. It is still consuming 100 villain points to obtain permission. Sumo didn't hesitate and directly consumed 100 villain points. Thus, the authority of this system is obtained. After getting it, Sumo looked to the novice to explain. The novice's instructions are very simple, and some restrictions are mentioned. For example, the current bronze level system has a large limit on the number of attributes that can be picked up per day. You can only pick up 12 times a day. If you exceed this number, the harvest will continue to be halved. 13 times, halving, 14 times, on the basis of 13 times, and then halving it again. If this is reduced, the subsequent gains will be minimal. System, load. In the hall, after figuring out the function of the pickup attribute system, Sumo said lightly. Pickup attribute system loaded successfully. Then, Sumo looked at Nancy, who was beside her, and found that there was a transparent bubble beside Nancy. This bubble, Nancy couldn't see it at all. Sumo reached out and burst that bubble. With his movements, the bubble was successfully popped. Immediately afterwards, on the villain panel, a prompt for picking up the attribute system appeared. You picked up Spirit +5, Charm +3. After Nancy's bubble was popped, the attributes she got were not bad. This is because Nancy herself is relatively powerful. After the bubble is punctured, it should not appear again in a short period of time. Nancy, you are in charge of the castle. After Sumo finished speaking, he drew a hexagram again, opened the passage to the abyss through the hexagram, and left here. When he reappeared, Sumo had already appeared in the abyss. After he looked at the direction, all the succubus bloodlines were released. Then, wings grew on his back. With a flap of wings, Sumo left here. This time, Sumo didn't go to Succubus Dynasty. However, in the case of the Succubus Dynasty, it was always under Sumo's control. The entire Succubus Dynasty is actively preparing for war. The main thing to do in this kind of preparation is to collect enough cannon fodder. The scale of the war in the abyss is not small. The wars between some huge demon dynasties are tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions. This is because, in the abyss, there is no such thing as the old and the weak. Only the strong and the weak. Ordinary abyss creatures, in the large-scale dynastic war, the only role is cannon fodder. The role of cannon fodder is to reduce the loss of the main demon in a demon dynasty. People have cannon fodder, but if you don't have cannon fodder, it will be very difficult to fight. Soon, Sumo came to a deep ravine. Here is the abyss. Many demons are reluctant to come to the abyss, because there are some difficult abyss creatures in the abyss. Sumo walked along the abyss and gully, and soon, he came to a huge abyss. In this abyss, the number of demons is extremely large, and there is a huge magic circle on the periphery of the abyss. Here is the location of a powerful demon dynasty. It is still very difficult to enter this abyss from the abyss. Even the existence of the demon king, there is no way to kill it. However, Sumo exuded a strong aura and rushed in directly. Someone invaded. No, it's the devil. Quick, inform our god. When the demons in this demon dynasty discovered that a demon god had arrived, their expressions changed drastically. The king of the dynasty quickly informed the devil behind the dynasty. Only the demon god can deal with the demon god. Sumo rushed towards the abyss quickly. On the periphery of the abyss, a huge magic circle has been activated. A large number of magic stones were thrown into the magic circle. Such a magic circle, as long as enough energy is invested, even if a devil wants to break it, it will take a little time. This time is enough for the demon gods of these demon dynasties to come. In the abyss, it is not easy to start a war between the devil and the devil. Especially when the strength is similar, or there is no absolute certainty, and the opponent has been beaten. God's power is precious. Every drop of divine power takes a long time to condense. It is also pointless to waste divine power on meaningless battles. Of course, the brain circuits of many demon gods are inherently strange, and there are also many warlike demon gods. As Sumo approached, under the impact of the powerful breath, the expressions of all the demons in that demon dynasty changed drastically. Even a demon king level existence can't stand it in the face of the breath of God. Sumo didn't rush into that abyss, though. Instead, it stopped at the periphery of the abyss, and the powerful breath was continuously released, making those demons uneasy one by one. For fear of Sumo rushing in. At that time, once their gods come later, this demon dynasty will face a lot of losses. At this moment, in the sky, a passage opened. Immediately afterwards, in the eyes of human beings, an extremely evil atmosphere permeated. In the passage, a huge shadow appeared. An ordinary person would be frightened into an idiot just by looking at this black shadow. A god, especially a god who fully reveals his own breath, cannot be looked directly at by ordinary people. It's not just a question of courtesy and respect. It's about his own life. The power is not strong enough. Look directly at God. That is the behavior of 100-level death. Our God has come. In that demon dynasty, all the demons breathed a sigh of relief and slumped to the ground. Succubus demon god, it's you. After the huge black shadow came, he recognized Sumo immediately and made a deafening sound. The sound is not transmitted through the air. It's too far away. If it is transmitted through the air, it takes dozens of minutes for the sound to spread. As a demon god, this huge shadow uses its power to vibrate the space. No matter how far away, the sound can be conveyed in an instant. Sumo's figure is not big, compared to this huge black figure, it is like a small point. However, whether in the eyes of Sumo in the shadow, or in the feelings of bystanders, Sumo's momentum is not weaker than this huge shadow. Sumo had already let his succubus ancestry fade a bit while the giant shadow spoke. You don't need to fade it all out, just let the human side reveal a little, and you can see the villain panel. After the villain panel came out, Sumo directly loaded the system for picking up attributes. Sure enough, there are bubbles. After loading the pickup attribute system, Sumo successfully saw a transparent bubble beside this huge shadow. This bubble is too big. A few people can easily put it on. Its color is also different from the color of the bubbles around Nancy. In the description of the system, the size of the bubbles represents the amount of harvest in the bubbles. Besides the volume, there are also some differences in color. If this bubble is burst by Sumo, the harvest should be very good. Succubus demon god, do you still want to fight? This demonic way. When Sumo first became a demon god, he met him once and wanted to try his own strength, so he had a fight with him. This guy thought that Sumo was here to fight him again. Don't be nervous, long-nailed demon god, I'm just here to talk to you. Sumo's eyes retracted from the bubble and said lightly, have a heart-to-heart talk? His words made the long-nailed demon god stunned for a moment. As a demon god, this guy is not stupid, although Sumo's words were beyond his expectations, but Sumo's eyes just caught his attention. So, this guy has quietly swept over the place Sumo just looked at, but he didn't find anything. Well, it's just a heart-to-heart talk. Don't you want to deal with that banshee? Maybe we can join forces. Sumo said in a flat tone. Joining forces? Is this true? Sumo's words obviously made the spike demon god interested. It's really. He was bullied so badly by that banshee, and a lot of territory was robbed, but no demon god was willing to help him at all. Hearing Sumo's words, it's no wonder this guy isn't interested. Sumo's wings fluttered, and he flew to the side of the spike demon god. Seeing Sumo approaching, the spike demon remained vigilant, but did nothing else. Because he felt that Sumo's breath was decreasing. Taking the initiative to lower his breath is a kind of sincerity in the eyes of the long-nailed devil, which means that Sumo has no intention of doing anything. Of course, her strength is getting stronger and stronger. After bullying you, maybe she will do something to me. I will help you to explore it later. Next time, I will come to you to discuss the details. How about it? After Sumo finished speaking, he stretched out his hand and patted the nail demon god's shoulder. Taking advantage of the situation, the bubbles around the long nail demon god were punctured. You picked up 2 divine strength, 135 strength, 68 agility, and 1 skill fragment. On the villain panel, the prompt to pick up the attribute system appears. Good guy. The things I picked up from the demon god were really good. 2 points of divine power, more than 100 points of strength, and dozens of points of agility. You must know that according to the standard value of the attribute system, the attribute value of an ordinary person is only 10 points on average. The attributes dropped by a demon god are equivalent to more than a dozen ordinary people. Well, this is just a drop, which is equivalent to a little power emanating from a demon god. Divine power is also good. 10 points of supernatural power is a drop, 2 points of supernatural power, very durable. Another big bonus is skill shards. Sumo took a look and saw that this skill fragment was the magic god's housekeeping stunt, God's Destruction Slash. Although the skill fragment is only 1%, Sumo can also spy on part of the mystery of this skill. If you look for the long nail demon god a few more times, you may be able to produce more skill fragments. This gold finger is not bad, although it is also a bronze level, it has a lot of limitations. But the limit is the number of times, not the harvest. In other words, the size of this gold finger harvest depends entirely on what level of people you can reach. For another person, there is no chance to come into contact with the long nail demon god at all. If you can't even pass the demon dynasty, how can you be qualified to contact the demon god? Dare to come to this demon dynasty like Sumo. Any powerful demon in it can teach you how to be a man in minutes. Even if they saw it, they wouldn't have the chance to go to the demon god to burst the bubble. Therefore, this gold finger, here at Sumo, is the best use of everything. If the protagonist who owns this system knows that Sumo has such a big harvest once he picks it up, I don't know what kind of envy he will be like. The Spike Demon God didn't feel the power in Sumo's hand, and with Sumo's statement, he didn't stop Sumo from slapping him. Okay, I'll go check her out, and I'll come back to you after a while. Sumo got the benefit, and after flicking the long-nailed demon god for a while, he shook his wings and left here. He was about to go to another abyss. There, it is exactly what Sumo just said, the place where the demon-level abyss Banshee is. The abyss is enormous. This is a huge world no less than the size of the world of the gods. The abyss can be regarded as a member of the world of gods, but it is a relatively independent world. Soon. Sumo is there. The territory of this demon god level abyss Banshee is much larger than that of the long-nailed demon god. The nameable abyss occupied by her Banshee dynasty has several floors. Others are used to produce some resources, and the number of abyss to cultivate cannon fodder is more. And many of these abyss were snatched from the long-nailed demon god. The long-nailed demon god is not weak, but his power is just restrained by this abyss Banshee. This is where he gets frustrated. The Banshee dynasty is also very strong. In the abyss and ravines, the Banshee dynasty is vigilant. Because Sumo didn't restrain his breath, he just appeared, and was discovered by many vigilant abyss banshees. There is a devil descending from the ravine. Soon, in the Banshee dynasty, the news was received. Those vigilant abyss banshees were about to withdraw, but it was too late. Sumo has come. As soon as his hand moved, the abyss banshees were bound by him. With one more grab, the abyss banshees were caught in their hands. These abyss banshees are somewhat similar to succubus, but they are different abyss creatures. The succubus is good at charm, and the abyss banshee is equally powerful in the mental attack. The difference is that the abyss banshee is often able to quickly switch between entity and incorporeal. Like a succubus, it is impossible to fly when the strength is not strong enough. But the abyss banshee is born to fly. Coincidentally, the ability of the succubuses formed a natural restraint against the abyss banshee. This kind of restraint is not too targeted, but in the battle of the same level, many abyss banshees are reluctant to fight against succubus. This is also why, after hearing that Sumo is willing to join forces with him, the Spike Demon God will be tempted. After grabbing a group of abyss banshees, Sumo bound them with strength, and then fully unfolded his breath. The aura belonging to the demon god swept the sky and covered the earth to the abyss where the Banshee dynasty was located. This time, without waiting too long, an abyss banshee who looked extremely evil appeared. Lilith, we meet again. Sumo looked at this abyss banshee who was extremely evil in terms of breath and body, and said lightly. He has already seen that there is also a very large bubble beside Lilith. Lilith looked at Sumo and glanced at the banshees bound by Sumo. In his eyes, there is an extremely cruel and evil meaning. Succubus, do you want to start a fight? Lilith's tone was not good, and she felt like she could do it at any time. Sumo said lightly. No, I just want to talk to you. Have a heart-to-heart talk? These two words made Lilith's eyes even more cold. Because, she felt that Sumo was teasing her. She is a powerful and evil demon god, and her name, Lilith, in the world of gods, has made many people in the kingdom change their minds. In many records of the Holy See about the Abyss demon, Lilith's name appears frequently. A new succubus demon, dare to molest her. However, this is not the most excessive. The most extreme thing is, Sumo's wings flashed and appeared not far from her. Lilith's body is surging with power. As long as Sumo has the next move, she will face her thunderstrike. Don't be nervous, look, I took the initiative to lower my breath. Seeing that Lilith was ready to attack, Sumo's face still didn't change, instead he spread his hands and said indifferently. In a demon god level battle, taking the initiative to lower your breath will cause you to lose your first mover advantage. Lilith looked at Sumo with an extremely dangerous look in her eyes, and said nothing. Because of today's Sumo, there's something odd about the move. Sumo is still walking towards her. Lilith's eyes became more and more dangerous. She didn't say anything threatening. For the demon god, no need. Because Sumo can know her attitude through her breath changes. She's probably going to do it for real, but Sumo is still getting closer. In fact, if it wasn't Sumo who was approaching now, but the spike demon god, she would have already done it. Because the long-nailed demon god is a demon god who is good at power, it is very dangerous to be approached by a stupid big man like the long-nailed demon god. That's why, when Sumo approached, the spike demon god wasn't nervous. As for Sumo, in Lilith's view, no matter how far or near, they are actually the same. Lilith, I'm actually here to tell you a piece of news. The spike demon god has found me and is going to join forces with me to deal with you together. Do you think I promise? Sumo said as he approached. Spike? Lilith's gaze became more dangerous, but this time the danger was not entirely directed at Sumo. The long-nailed demon god was indeed bullied to death by her. But if the spike demon god joins forces with Sumo, even if Sumo is a new demon god, her odds of winning will decrease. She is not afraid of the long-nailed devil alone, and Sumo alone, she is not afraid, but what if Sumo joins forces with the long-nailed devil? Sumo finally got close to her, admiring this banshee known for her evil. Compared with the charm of the succubus, her beauty is more evil. Both are dangerous, but addicting. Sumo admired it openly and said. Lilith, in fact, I am more optimistic about you. Long Nail seems to have some plans. I am afraid he will tell me the specific plan later. When I know it, I will tell you next time. After speaking, when Lilith was attracted by his words, Sumo stretched out his hand. Hey, what do you seem to have here? Sumo's hand quickly reached over Lilith's right shoulder. Lilith's breath suddenly rose, and she was about to start. But Sumo's hand didn't touch her, and she withdrew. I read it wrong. Well, that's it, I'll come back to you in a while. After Sumo finished speaking, he stepped back quickly. Soon, he disappeared into the abyss. Those bound abyss banshees are also released. Lilith stood high up and watched where Sumo disappeared. She still felt a little weird about Sumo's arrival this time and Sumo's behavior. However, even if it was her, she couldn't find out what was wrong. Good harvest. After leaving Lilith, Sumo smiled. The attributes picked up from Lilith are also very good. Lilith is not a power-type demon god, and there are not many power attributes picked up from her. Spiritual attributes, on the contrary, are very many. These attributes are not the biggest gains. The biggest gain is a few divine powers and a small skill fragment from Lilith. Howl of the Banshee. This skill is quite terrifying, and even the long-nailed demon god is a little empty. With a good harvest, Sumo left here. Go to the next place again. After a while, Sumo was there. Repeated the old trick again, forcing out a powerful demon. Then, Sumo walked over. In this way, it didn't take long for Sumo to find a total of 6 demon gods to talk. These 6 demon gods have all been known to Sumo since he became a demon god. It is acquaintance. It's not difficult to pick up attributes from these demon gods. They don't want to start a war with Sumo easily, just a little fooling around. The harvest is good. Picked up a lot of properties. Also picked up a total of 3 skill fragments, 2 rule fragments. Rules are also one of the powers mastered by gods, which can greatly increase a god's combat power. The gains obtained from these 6 demon gods are replaced by other protagonists who have obtained the attribute picking system. I don't know how long it will take to obtain them. Even if the opponent's system has a high level from the beginning, and can outperform quality in quantity, it is impossible for them to obtain things like divine power, divine skills, and similar rule fragments for a long time. After visiting the 6 demon gods, Su Mo looked towards the abyss. Su Mo pondered for a while, and decided to check it out after a while. Other demon gods will be discussed later. In the abyss, between the devil and the devil, it is easy not to meet each other. If it is an unknown demon god, Su Mo wants to get close to each other, unless it is in battle, otherwise, there will be some difficulties. And if the battle is turned on, Su Mo will not be able to get the villain panel and load the pickup attribute system. For the villain panel, Su Mo must reduce the concentration of the succubus bloodline and let the villain panel come out. In the battle between gods and gods, that is a very risky act. He began to return along the abyss and ravine. Above the abyss and ravine, the blood moon is still hanging high, exuding a strange light. It has been a few years since he became a demon god, and Su Mo knows that this blood moon represents a powerful and terrifying demon god in the abyss. If you can get close to him, the harvest must be not small. Su Mo thought. It is not easy to get close to the blood moon. Moreover, approaching the blood moon is an adventure for the devil, and it can even be said to be an act of courting death. The existence represented by this blood moon is infinitely close to the legendary Supreme Throne. Supreme Throne. That is also a position that countless gods aspire to. Whether it is the god of the heavens or the god of the abyss, they are all vying for that position. Whoever ascends to the highest throne first will be able to become the master of the world. In the past, Su Mo also took this position as his goal. Now, this position is still a target. In less than 20 years, he became a demon god. Although the distance from this position is still 108,000 miles away, if this game of confrontation between the protagonist and the villain is used well, Su Mo feels that maybe he can get to this position in a shorter time. Su Mo looked back from the blood moon. The way is step by step. Now, his task is still to find more protagonists, hunt them down, and get their protagonist value and gold finger. Su Mo began to return along the ravine, ready to return to the world of the gods. Soon, Su Mo returned to the castle. He silently used the things exchanged from the Krypton gold system to improve his human strength. After staying in the castle for a short time, Shi Wei came back again. Master, good luck. Guess what happened to me? After Shi Wei came back, she said with a smile. Su Mo's eyes swept across the protagonist panel. He already knew that Shi Wei had brought back a protagonist. Hey, I really can't hide anything from the master. Seeing Su Mo's expression, Shi Wei knew she couldn't sell. She released a bag from the space bag. After removing the bag, inside lay a comatose protagonist. Master, when I was looking for an opportunity in a place, I happened to meet him. Shi Wei told the story of catching the protagonist. In the past few days, she has been looking for the chance she knew from the 2 ring grandpas. These opportunities are in some dangerous places, and they are not bad. Perhaps it was because Su Mo's luck was negative. After Shi Wei succeeded in a few places, she found that one had been taken first. Shi Wei became alert, rushed to another place, and then lurked. Sure enough, after half a day, a protagonist arrived there. It happens to be underground. I can do my best, otherwise, the soul of the legendary warrior in this person's ring is not easy to deal with. Shi Wei said. Her strength is stronger than Nancy. After speaking, Shi Wei presented a ring to Su Mo. Su Mo took the ring and quickly saw the information of the ring. Bronze ring. The protagonist gold finger, bronze level. After killing the protagonist, you can get this ring permission by spending 50 villain points. Hint. If there are multiple bronze rings, they can be fused. After fusion, the villain value needed to upgrade will be reduced. Another bronze ring. Can it be merged? Su Mo saw the prompt. Looking at it this way, the same gold finger should also be integrated. After fusion, gold finger will increase to the silver level villain value, and it will decrease. At this time, in the bronze ring, there is also a bound old man with a ring. After Su Mo's spiritual sense swept through, he found that the old man with the ring was a former legendary warrior. There are magicians, warriors and knights in this world. In contrast, magic is more developed, but there are also many warriors and knights who practice vindictiveness. As soon as Su Mo's hand moved, he grabbed the old man with the ring. The old man with the ring has been beaten to death by Shi Wei, and he is sluggish. Very relaxed, Sumo asked about some opportunities he prepared for the protagonist, and then the old man with the ring took the lunch. Immediately afterwards, Sumo solved the protagonist who had the ring, and at the same time robbed the protagonist of a lot of luck. After the heir was delivered, Sumo glanced at the panel. I saw that on the villain panel, the luck column finally changed from -25 to 3. The luck value is finally positive. After solving the 4 protagonists, the luck value returned to a positive number. Now, don't worry about it for a long time, the whole world is coming against him. Immediately afterwards, Sumo spent 50 villain points to obtain the permission of this bronze ring. On the villain panel, the authority for this bronze ring appeared. When 2 bronze rings are together, choose any bronze ring to fuse. Sumo chose fusion. Soon, the 2 bronze rings were fused together. Sumo saw that the description of the bronze ring had changed. Item. Bronze ring, enhanced, costs 60 villain points, and can be summoned by the Nazgul. Sumo clicked the Upgrade button behind the panel of this ring. The bronze ring, enhanced, needs to be upgraded to the silver level, and 250 villain points are needed. Originally, it required 500 villains to upgrade to the silver level, but now it only needs 250. After fusion, half of the villain value required to upgrade is saved. Not bad. Looking at it this way, even if you catch the protagonist with the same gold finger, it is not useless. Their gold finger is equally useful. Damn, these protagonists are too hard to kill. There is a guy the first almost chased twice, but he slipped away. Haha, I already killed one. 666, I set up a group, everyone will form a group together, let these protagonists develop, we will be at a disadvantage. After integrating gold finger, Sumo took a look at the villain forum. On the villain forum, it was extremely lively. Today is the 4th day after the game starts. 4 days have passed, and some villains have killed the protagonist. There are also a small number of villains who were silently killed by the protagonist. Overall, the villains are still dominant. There are also many villains who have established some communication groups. However, there is not much information about the protagonist on the villain forum. Even if these villains discover the protagonist, they will not share it. After glancing at the villain forum and getting an idea of the general situation, Sumo closed the villain panel. At this time, a maid came to report that there was a letter from the capital. Master, it's a letter from Queen Crescent Moon. Shi Wei said after scanning the signature of the letter. It was only a few days after the last letter from the Queen of the New Moon, and she wrote another letter. Such a frequency is rare. While speaking, she had already presented the letter. Sumo took the letter and soon knew the contents of the letter. Her reason for writing this letter is simple. A week later, the god behind the New Moon Kingdom will perform a blessing. It is a great honor for people in the world of gods to accept the blessings of the gods in the heavens. Not only that, such a blessing is also a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a magician or a warrior. If it is some magician who has encountered a bottleneck, after receiving the blessing, there is a very high possibility that they will be able to break through to a new realm with the blessing of God in one fell swoop. It can also improve physical fitness, cure diseases and prolong life. If an ordinary person can receive the blessings of God, many diseases will be eliminated, and life expectancy will be greatly extended. In the world of gods, every blessing of the gods is a very grand ceremony. Only the most devout believers of God are eligible to receive the blessings of God. The Queen of the Crescent Moon has this qualification. And the reason why Queen Crescent wrote this time is to invite Sumo to the capital and accept the blessing of the goddess with her. She has already applied for a qualification for Sumo. The content of the letter is simple. However, the information revealed made Sumo's eyes light up. Master, is it good news? Seeing Sumo's expression, Shi Wei asked. Compared with the powerful demon gods in the abyss, Shi Wei prefers Sumo in the world of gods. Because in the abyss, Sumo is a god, and the oppressive feeling brought by the majesty of God is inevitable, even if she is the closest person around Sumo. But in the world of gods, Sumo restrained everything. This made Shi Wei a lot easier. She is naturally extremely loyal and respectful to Sumo, but in the world of gods, without the oppression of gods, she should be more lively. Sumo handed her the letter. Very good, Master, Queen Crescent Moon has really obtained a qualification for you. Master, let me accompany you to the royal capital. After learning the contents of the letter, Shi Wei cheered. Master, let me go. Nancy, who had been hiding at the side, also appeared after hearing about it. Sumo pondered for a while, and said, No, Shi Wei, you and Nancy are sitting here, there are too many holy places in the capital, and there are demigods sitting there. If you go with Nancy, the possibility of exposure is too great. Okay, master. Seeing that Sumo was not going to take them, Shi Wei and Nancy were a little disappointed. However, they also knew that it was too risky for them to go to the New Moon capital. There are many experts in the New Moon capital, not only the sanctuary, but even demigods in secret. Not to mention, it is still the place with the strongest divine light. The gaze of the god behind the New Moon Kingdom can be cast at any time. They are succubuses themselves, unlike Sumo, who are equivalent to having two bloodlines, human and succubus. And Sumo's succubus bloodline is quite special. Not only can he evolve infinitely, but his succubus blood can also be hidden. There is also a special place that the succubus has never appeared male before. That said, Sumo is the first and only male succubus. Their strength is strong, as long as they are careful in other places, it is better. Once they enter the New Moon capital, the possibility of being discovered is too high. Once they are discovered, if Sumo doesn't make a move, they may not be able to escape. And when Sumo makes a move, the identity of the devil will be exposed. At that time, everything he managed in the New Moon Kingdom will fall apart. Once that step is reached, it will not be so convenient to act in the world of the gods. Nancy, intensify the action in the past 2 days, and bring all the suspected protagonists who can be caught. The morning after the day after tomorrow, I will set off for the capital. Sumo looked at Nancy and said, "Yes, master." Nancy said respectfully, "Shi Wei, reply to the queen and prepare some gifts." Sumo looked at Shi Wei again. "Yes, master." Shi Wei also stood up straight and took orders. "Master, how many people are your accompanying knights with?" Shi Wei asked again. 500 people, don't exceed the count's specifications." Sumo said. "Yes, master, I will select the personnel carefully." Shi Wei said. "This matter is arranged in this way." Nancy and Shi Wei were both busy. This person is the illegitimate son of a viscount. Are we really going to do it? It's just an illegitimate child. What are you afraid of? If it's not the person you're looking for, we'll just send it back quietly. The above requires more action, let's do it directly. Okay. Let's take action after he's placed on the order. Late at night. In a tavern, 3 people sat at a table, watching a person in the distance, whispering there. These 3 people are also people in the Sumo intelligence organization. The person they were staring at was the illegitimate son of a viscount. This guy's been acting a little out of the ordinary lately. You must know that the status of illegitimate children is very low, and the illegitimate children of nobles basically have no inheritance rights. However, this illegitimate child is a bit special. The viscount's direct son is ill all the time, and may not be able to live for too long. The mind of this bastard became alive. In the past, this illegitimate son was extremely diligent, rushing to do everything, and was better to the viscountess than to his own mother. Also won the favor of the viscountess. It's just that, a few days ago, this illegitimate child did not know what happened. Suddenly became decadent. "I don't do anything, I don't care about the account, I spend all day long, and I'm willing to degenerate." This guy's favorite thing to do is drink, hang out, occasionally visit the technical institute, and sleep well. Some say that the reason he did this was that the viscount's direct son was cured by the priest of the Holy See. There was no hope, so I fell. Originally, this reason was justified. Until one night, a few gangsters approached him, trying to grab some money from him to spend. But this guy led a few thugs to the back of an empty alley, and with one kick, he beat the gangsters into a dizzy, bloody head. You know, before, this illegitimate child was too weak. All of a sudden, it has great power. Coincidentally, among these little gangsters, there is a little gangster who happens to be an eyeliner for these 3 people. In the city, the best eyeliner is naturally these gangsters who are idle all day. This little gangster was beaten badly and wanted to take revenge on the other side, but he was definitely not enough by himself. Therefore, the situation of this illegitimate child was reported. Just got caught by these 3 people. Haha. Let you fight so hard, it's still my gold finger cool, you can get stronger when you lie down. In the tavern, the illegitimate child was drinking happily. This guy is also a protagonist. His gold finger is somewhat interesting, and it is also a system that becomes stronger when you lie down. You don't need to do anything at all, you can get the rewards of the system by wandering around all day long. Of course, if you sleep all day, the rewards you get are limited. That's why he runs out every day to drink, to bask in the sun, and occasionally to go to the technical academy. The days were very pleasant. In his opinion, as long as he avoids the villain with early warning and does not let the villain find him, he can become stronger in a stable manner. As for the Viscount's little family property, after becoming the protagonist and having the system, he didn't like it at all. After drinking for a while, the bastard glanced at his system panel. It was found that this meal gave him a good reward. The protagonist stood up happily, ready to go to the next place. Seeing him leave here, the three looked at each other and followed quietly. His strength should be second order, be careful. Let the person in ambush in front do it, our strength is still unable to deal with him. The three were talking quietly. Is someone following me? Unbeknownst to the three, the protagonist has discovered them. 3 rats, just to try my new skills. After the protagonist found that the three were not very strong, he snorted softly and walked towards an alley on purpose. However, just as he reached the entrance of the alley, a wooden stick smashed down with lightning speed. The protagonist had been on guard against the 3 people behind him, and before he could react, he was directly hit by the stick. F***ck. The protagonist was knocked by a wooden stick, but he didn't faint, and even cursed. Huh. Haven't fainted yet. A voice sounded, and then, the wind sounded. F***k. The protagonist broke down. Then, there was darkness in front of his eyes and he passed out. It's done. In the darkness, a shadow appeared, clapped his hands, and took out the rope. At the same time, in some other cities in the Crescent Kingdom, this evening, due to Sumo's orders, a large-scale sap fighting operation began. Many suspected protagonists have been sapped. Over the castle, the magic flying ships flew one after another. Tisk tisk. The Earl of Moshi territory is so rich, so many flying ships use his flag. Yeah, I heard that a flying ship costs at least tens of thousands of gold coins. Tens of thousands of gold coins. My god, how many silver coins do I only earn a month? In the territory, people come and go. Many people saw the magic flying ship in the sky, and they were all amazed by the wealth of the Earl of Moshi land. This is the common denominator of everyone who comes to Mo Shi Ling. Among the noble groups of the New Moon Kingdom, there is already a consensus. That is when I arrived at Mo Shi Ling, I realized that I was a bumpkin. The weight of these magic flying ships is actually average, and they can't transport 2 heavy things in one trip. The speed is naturally not as fast as the planes in another world, but it is much faster than the carriages and other means of transportation. The price is also not cheap, the key is that money may not be able to buy it. However, in Sumo's hands, there are more than a dozen ships, and it may be said that he is the noble with the most magic flying ships in the New Moon Kingdom. What no one knows is, these magical flying ships that flew over the castle were all loaded with suspected protagonists. They don't need to land, just fly over the castle, and Sumo will be able to know if there is a protagonist in it. The flying ship without the protagonist was ordered to return directly. At this time, a flying ship received the order and landed behind the castle. After landing, several suspected protagonists inside were taken to the castle. These suspected protagonists are still in a coma. Sumo looked at several suspected protagonists and soon found the real protagonist. Good luck. Another protagonist is found. Several other suspected protagonists were taken away, and they would be transported back overnight and put back in place. These suspected protagonists who can be brought directly by SAP, generally have a low status in the New Moon Kingdom, and disappear for a short time, and not many people will notice. After turning on the magic circle, Sumo looked at the protagonist. Soon, he knew the information of the protagonist. Still a bronze-level protagonist. Lying down to strengthen the system? The system of this protagonist is a bit interesting. In this system, if you practice hard, there won't be many rewards. On the contrary, as long as you don't do the right thing and eat, drink, and play all day, you will be rewarded constantly. Of course, limited by the fact that the system is still bronze, the rewards are still limited. After knowing the gold finger of the protagonist, Sumo deprived the system after sending the protagonist back to his hometown. After being deprived, Sumo was not in a hurry to incorporate the system. Instead, this system is stored on the villain panel. He glanced at his villain panel. After killing the protagonist, Sumo now has exactly 250 villain points. After pondering for a while, Sumo used up the 250 villain points. The bronze ring was successfully upgraded to a silver ring. Your bronze ring has been upgraded to a silver ring. You become the first villain to have a silver level gold finger and get 100 villain points. Your villain level has been upgraded to silver level, luck plus 50. On the villain panel, a large number of prompts appear. After the bronze ring was upgraded to the silver level, Sumo's villain level was also successfully upgraded to the silver level. Sumo looked at his villain panel. Player, Sumo. Villain nickname. Phantom Faction. Villains. Occupation. Count of the Blackstone land of the New Moon Kingdom. Level. Silver, upgrade conditions. Have a gold finger, or the cumulative villain value reaches 5,000. Villain value. 700 100's record, 5 airluck, 77. Warning distance. 25 kilometers rank, none. New permission. Can view. After becoming a silver level villain, there are many benefits. As soon as he became a silver level villain, his luck increased by 50 points. Counting the luck that Sumo grabbed from this protagonist, Sumo's luck suddenly reached 77 points. The next rank of silver rank is gold rank. To upgrade to a gold level villain, you need this villain, have a gold level gold finger, or the accumulated villain value reaches 5,000. Two conditions, if any one is met, can be upgraded. On the panel, there are more records of Sumo. Now, he has solved a total of 5 protagonists. The record is 5. The warning distance has been shortened by half, from 50 kilometers to 25 kilometers. Some more permissions. Sumo click on the new permission column. Silver level villains have 2 more permissions than bronze level villains. Permission 1. Silver level villains can also use the villain value to improve their luck, and the cost of the villain value is 3 times higher than that of the protagonist. Permission 2. After the silver level villain kills the bronze level protagonist, the probability of obtaining his gold finger is greatly increased. Calling. Successfully summoned, you get the Nazgul, the Sanctuary Soul Lois. On the villain panel, the message appears. After the ring was upgraded to the silver level, Sumo spent another 100 villain points to summon a Sanctuary Soul. Bronze rings can summon legendary souls. After upgrading to silver rings, the souls that can be summoned have reached the sanctuary. Soon, Sumo felt a sleeping Sanctuary Soul in the silver ring. Grandma ring? Sumo found that in the silver ring this time, a ring grandma was summoned. No, to be precise, not a grandmother, because the other party is quite young. After Sumo's will swept through the ring, he withdrew. Then, Sumo put this silver ring into his space ring. His space ring has a powerful seal inside. Even if the grandmother with the ring inside the silver ring wakes up, she can't peep into the situation outside. It's time to go. After summoning this Sanctuary Soul, Sumo is ready to go. Soon, several airships carrying Sumo and the knights under Sumo's command set off from Sumo's territory and headed for the capital. According to the rules of the nobles in the world of gods, if there is any noble who has the opportunity to receive the blessing of the gods, he can't wait to take a loudspeaker and preach the past all the way. Sumo naturally wasn't going to do that. The flying ship quickly headed towards the capital. In the cabin of the flying ship, Sumo sat there and used another magic experience book. The things in the Krypton gold system are not bad. In the past few days, the strength of Sumo's human side has increased very quickly. Ordinary protagonists get the Krypton gold system and need to earn money, then exchange things to improve their strength, and then make money, and then exchange things to improve their strength. Here at Sumo, the gameplay has completely changed. Everything inside was wiped out by Sumo. If it wasn't for this trip to the capital, Sumo would choose to save some villain value and upgrade the Krypton gold system first. After all, in the capital, his demon power cannot be used easily. Lord Count, it's almost time to reach the capital. In the afternoon, on the flying boat, Sumo heard the voice of the maid. The capital has arrived. Sumo got out of the flying ship and saw that, in the distance, a huge city appeared. This is the capital of the New Moon Kingdom. A large city with a population of several million. In the world of gods, a city with a population of several million is already very large, and it is considered a super city. Since there are not many high-rise buildings, the area of the city is also very wide. In the middle of the New Moon capital, in the sky, you can also see a pyramid that seems to be made of gold floating in the air. This is the largest and most core temple in the New Moon Kingdom. Below the temple, there is a huge square. Every day, there are many people in the square, praying to the gods in the heaven. This is also the place where the divine light is most concentrated in the entire New Moon Kingdom. In the sky, several flying beasts flew over. All flying boats stop at Plaza 3. On the flying beast, a soldier in uniform said, "Flying is prohibited in the New Moon capital, and all flying ships cannot fly over the city." Outside the city, there are dedicated parking spots. Sumo's flying boat slowly flew towards there. Soon, the flying boat stopped. Then, Sumo's female officer released a gorgeous carriage from the space bag. Under the escort of 500 knights, the carriage slowly drove towards the interior of the capital. Wow, Mom, look, what aristocrat is here. In the capital city, many children saw the escort team, and they all watched the excitement. This seems to be the caravan of the Earl of Moishi. It is said that the Earl of Moishi is rich, and even the Queen's wealth is not comparable to him. Wow, it turns out that the soap I used was invented by him. Some people recognized the flags on the convoy and started talking. In the Crescent Kingdom, the Earl of Moishi land can be said to be the most famous nobleman in recent years. It can be said that in the New Moon Kingdom, no one knows. He came. At the same time, in the palace of the New Moon Kingdom, the Queen of the New Moon also quickly received the news. Sumo is here. The Queen Crescent Moon, who was dealing with political affairs, also had no intention of dealing with political affairs. Kathy, go and invite the Earl of Moshiling to the palace for a dinner party. The Queen of the New Moon said, Yes, Your Majesty. After a female official took orders, she got into a carriage and hurried out of the palace. Lord Count, the hotel has been arranged. In front of the carriage, a female official respectfully said to Sumo. This female official is a female official that Shi Wei specially selected for Sumo, called Arya, who is more careful. Of course, as a human, she must not know Sumo's identity as a demon. However, it is also a great honor for her to be able to follow the Count of Mo Shi Ling, who is in the limelight. For Sumo, this female official is naturally very respectful. In the carriage, Sumo sat there, looking at the villain panel. Just now, an early warning appeared on the villain panel, but it quickly disappeared. This shows that there is a protagonist in the royal city. And, probably more than one. Sumo didn't send anyone to look for such things. First, in Wangcheng, even his people couldn't be reckless. The second is this trip, Sumo's main purpose is not to these protagonists. These protagonists, all with gold finger, will grow at an amazingly fast rate. For example, in the world of gods, a magician with good magic talent, under the guidance of the teacher, usually takes several months to enter the rank and become a first-rank magician. A few days are enough for these protagonists. Even, with the system, one day it will go directly to the first order. Although Sumo is strong, he will not let them grow. However, no matter how fast you grow, it will take time to grow, and it is impossible to become a god in a few days, right? Gold finger alone has an upper limit, except for those protagonists whose gold finger level is high at the beginning. Other protagonists, it takes a lot of time to light up gold finger. So, don't rush these days. Of course, if the protagonist in the capital happens to bump into or provoke, Sumo doesn't mind taking care of it. The carriage headed towards the hotel. Soon, a magnificent hotel arrived. Sir, please. Arya and the maids rolled out the red carpet on the floor and raised the curtain for Sumo. Sumo got off the carriage and was about to walk into the hotel. Lord Count, please wait a moment. At this time, a voice sounded. Sumo took a look and saw a female officer riding a magic horse running over under the escort of a group of knights. The flag they played was the Queen's flag. My lord, it's the Queen's. Arya has good eyesight and said in a low voice. The female officer quickly came close, then jumped off the magic horse and walked in front of Sumo. My lord, Her Majesty the Queen has already hosted a banquet in the palace. I have invited Her Majesty to a banquet with Her Majesty, and I will also invite Her Majesty to honor you. The female officer said respectfully. Sumo pondered for a while. Okay. Please come with me, my lord. The female officer was a little happy when she saw Sumo's promise, and said. So, Sumo got into the carriage again. The carriage followed the female official and headed towards the palace. This time, Sumo's knights did not accompany him. Sumo's carriage was guarded by the knights brought by the female officer. The entire New Moon King city has a huge area and is divided into an inner city and an outer city. The knights brought by the nobles can only stay in the outer city, and they can only bring a few followers when they enter the inner city. In fact, there is no need to worry too much about safety. In Wangcheng, there are not many people who dare to mess around. This is the core of the entire New Moon Kingdom. There is more than one sanctuary in the town. Soon, the carriage drove into the inner city, all the way towards the palace. In the carriage, Sumo was browsing the villain forum. The villains are already forming an alliance. Because these few days have passed, many villains have discovered that the protagonist's growth is too fast. Some protagonists have certain identities. As long as these protagonists are a little bit more careful, they are really not easy to kill. It's like Billy, who has the Krypton gold system. If this guy keeps shrinking in the Magic Academy, there is really no good way to find his villain. No one wants to be a stepping stone. Therefore, many villains began to publish some difficult information on the forum, such as the identity and location of the protagonist they could not deal with. The protagonist is not an idiot. In the next 2 days, the efficiency of the protagonist found on Sumo's darknet has dropped a lot. This shows that many protagonists are more stubborn. 2 more. When approaching the palace, on Sumo's villain panel, a protagonist warning appeared again. This shows that there is a protagonist within 25 kilometers of Sumo. This range is not small, equivalent to a circle with Sumo as the center and a radius of 25 kilometers. The protagonist hidden in the royal city looks a lot. Compared with hiding in the royal city outside, it is indeed the best choice for these protagonists who have little advantage in the early stage. Because there are too many powerhouses here, and the divine light is the strongest, even if it is Sumo, unless he directly shows up, he can't show the slightest power that belongs to the demon god here. Other villains, no matter how high their status is, can't do whatever they want. These guys are smart. Sumo didn't care too much, and now he doesn't have much sense of urgency. Of course, he wouldn't take it too lightly. After all, the total number of protagonists is quite large. Finally, the palace has arrived. Lord Count, please change into the carriage prepared for you by the queen. The female official said. In the palace, the carriages outside were not allowed to enter. Sumo got into another beautiful carriage. About 10 minutes later, the carriage appeared in front of an incomparably beautiful palace. Lord Count, please. The female officer brought some maids and also spread a clean red carpet on the ground. Sumo got off the carriage. Under the leadership of the female officer, he walked towards the gate of the palace. Before he got there, Sumo saw that at the gate of the palace, the Queen of the Crescent Moon, wearing a crown and a delicate face, was already standing there to greet her. She came out to meet her in person. Even if a duke arrives, Queen Crescent, as a queen, will not come out to greet her. In fact, she still has an identity. That is the Virgin of the New Moon Goddess. Originally, Queen Crescent was not a queen, but a full-time saint. It's just that her father and her younger brother, who was supposed to inherit the throne, were attacked by a sanctuary assassin from an enemy country and killed both during a foreign patrol. Apart from her brother, her father had not had time to give birth to any other children. Therefore, she had to serve as the Queen of the New Moon. In her capacity, being able to come out to meet her in person is enough to show the importance she attaches to Sumo. When she saw Sumo approaching, Queen Crescent's face was already covered with a bright smile. She tried to step over the threshold of the gate more than once, but was stopped by an older female officer next to her. Because if she steps out, it's going to be a big violation of the rules. However, when Sumo was about to approach, finally, Queen Crescent stepped out of the door despite the female official's stop. Came in front of Sumo. You're here. Queen Crescent Moon opened her mouth, but her voice lacked the majesty she had in the courtroom. On the contrary, it's a bit like. Before Sumo crossed, a little fangirl who worshipped stars, looked like when she saw her idol. Not only the voice, but also the demeanor of the Queen of the New Moon. Seeing that the Queen of the New Moon became a little fangirl in front of Sumo, the female officials behind them also widened their eyes and couldn't believe it. This is a special product from the Silver Moon Kingdom, Ice Crystal Coral. In the hall of the palace, Queen Crescent asked her maid to present a dish to Sumo. Although she really wanted to sit opposite Sumo, as the queen, and the saintess of the goddess, her restraints were too many after all. Sumo looked at the snow-white coral presented by the maid and said it was coral, but it was actually a crystal of extremely rich energy. It is a very precious food. In the surrounding kingdoms, generally only the king is qualified to taste it. Other people who have money may not be able to buy it. On the opposite side, the Queen of the Crescent Moon looked at Sumo expectantly. Sumo took a sip. How about it, does it taste good? The Queen of the Crescent Moon was like a child who shared her own food, looking forward to Sumo's review. Sumo nodded. The Queen of the New Moon suddenly had a smile on her face. The last time you avenged me, I haven't thanked you yet. I almost vomited blood when I heard that King Hoden knew the truth. The Queen of the New Moon excitedly talked about this. This was a few months ago. At that time, the Queen of the Crescent Moon had just ascended the throne. Although there was the full support of the Holy See, there were still many restless factors in the kingdom. Most of these restless factors come from the infiltration of the kingdom of Horton. The Hoden kingdom also took the opportunity to make trouble, trying to pull the Queen Crescent from the throne and secretly support their agents to take the throne. It was at that time that Sumo seized the opportunity to help Queen Crescent Moon with a lot of tricks, smashed the various conspiracies of the Horton Kingdom, and quickly stabilized his rule. At that time, Sumo's series of operations also made the Queen of the Crescent Moon look at Sumo with admiration. What really made the Queen of the Crescent Moon interested in Sumo was that Sumo later used a trick to alienate the Kingdom of Horton and its allies, provoking a war between several sanctuaries between the two countries. Then the Queen of the New Moon seized the opportunity and sent Sanctuary to kill the Sanctuary who had assassinated her father and brother. Helped her avenge the murder of her father and brother. Since then, Sumo has left an indelible mark in the heart of Queen Crescent Moon. Not only that, in the eyes of Queen Crescent Moon, Sumo is completely different from ordinary nobles. Sumo's body has a very fascinating atmosphere, tall, heroic, and mysterious origin, which makes the Queen of the New Moon feel the fatal attraction. However, she felt that Sumo seemed to be far away from her, which made her feel untouchable again. This feeling makes Queen Crescent more fascinated by Sumo. The Queen of the Crescent Moon said a lot about the Kingdom of Horton, and after that, she told Sumo about the blessing of the goddess. Those who participate in the blessing of the goddess need to be brought to the Holy See for an inspection to avoid being infiltrated by spies from other kingdoms, but I have already guaranteed you, you only need to go through the last inspection. Some details of the blessing of the goddess by the Queen of the Crescent Moon will be explained in detail. In the world of gods, the Holy See attaches great importance to the blessing ceremony of gods, because if you accidentally let spies from other countries or believers of other gods infiltrate, it may cause trouble to the heavenly world. This kind of trouble, even a small one, is something that the Holy See cannot afford. The Queen of the Crescent really does a lot for Sumo. Sumo has only been in the New Moon Kingdom for a few years, and his identity has some unknown origins. He is different from other traversers, perhaps because he traversed ahead of time. Sumo did not pass through the soul, but directly passed through. Such as Sumo, if it is not a Queen of the New Moon, plus the guarantee of the status of a saint, it is impossible to enter the blessing ceremony of the goddess. The saintess newly trained by the Holy See will soon be able to take office. When the new saintess take office, I can remove the status of saints and concentrate on being my own queen. The Queen of the Crescent Moon soon revealed another piece of news. While speaking, she was carefully observing Sumo's expression. However, to her disappointment, Sumo's expression did not change much. Kings cannot be without queens. Even though the lifespan of the kings of this world is generally very long, they must have descendants in order for a kingdom to settle down. The saints of God need to keep their bodies and minds clean. Don't talk about marriage, you can't even touch the hands of the opposite sex, you can't even think about it. The identities of saintess and kings themselves are in conflict. Therefore, the Holy See is already cultivating new saints so that the Queen of the Crescent Moon can focus on being the king. And once she is no longer a saint, she has the right to choose her husband. Recently, there have been many great nobles in the country who want to make people in the family her husbands. These nobles, larger than Sumo, are all high-ranking nobles at the duke level. A queen's husband must at least be from a duke's family to be eligible. But those people, she didn't look down on any of them. Instead, I fell in love with the little Earl Sumo. This is also a little thought for her to invite Sumo today. One is that she hasn't seen Sumo for too long, and the other is that she wants to see Sumo's reaction. The Queen of the Crescent Moon hesitated, thinking that Sumo might not know this. But let her say it herself, she can't speak. Ultimately, she made no further hints until the dinner was over. However, in her heart, the idea of choosing Sumo as her husband became more and more firm. This time, she also wants Sumo to get the recognition of the new moon goddess. The dinner is over. The Queen of the Crescent Moon personally sends Sumo out of the palace. The carriage drove out of the palace. This time, shortly after leaving the palace, several carriages came from the front and blocked Sumo's carriage. Who? The guard knight stepped forward. Earl of Moshi Land, have you ever heard that 3 out of 3 wins? On the carriage in front, several people in noble costumes came up and said alone. 3-3 to 9. Passer code? Sumo glanced at the villain panel, and there was no prompt. Then, this person is the villain. When the villain meets the villain, there will be no prompt. Let them come over, Sumo said lightly. The escorting knight moved out of the way. The few people quickly came to the front of the carriage. Earl of Moshi Land, can you take a step to speak? Don't worry, we have no ill intentions. A young man said. Sumo's gaze swept the few people around him, and finally, he agreed. It is good. Let's see what medicine these guys sell in the gourd. This is the eldest son of Archduke Hill. Archduke Hill is old, and now the entire family is up to him. Who is this? About half an hour later, in a magnificently decorated room with a large number of magic circles, a man was introducing other villains. There are many villains here. Moreover, everyone's status is very high. There are 3 heirs and de facto rulers of the ducal families, as well as several from the marquis families. In contrast, the Earl of Sumo was considered the lowest in the New Moon Kingdom. The villain level of these people was also higher at the beginning. For example, several villains from the Duke family are all silver-level villains. The level of the villain at the beginning should be related to the status and strength after crossing. As for the level of the protagonist, it is related to the level of Goldfinger. The Count knows that many protagonists are already staring at you. After the introduction, the man named Gerald said. As for what he was called before crossing, he did not say. This Gerald had just inherited the position of Marquis. Oh? Sumo looked at each other with a calm gaze. Gerald said. It may not be clear that the Earl is in the remote Inkstone territory. However, in the capital, we already know a lot about the Earl. It can be said that the Earl is an open state in the New Moon Kingdom. Opposition. After speaking, he was watching Sumo's reaction. Sumo's response remains as calm as ever. The products of the other world that he invented are too obvious, and it is impossible for travelers to fail to recognize them. Now, since the game starts only a few days ago, and the world news is not particularly well informed, some protagonists with a low starting point may not know the existence of Sumo. But these villains with high status, it is impossible not to know. Moreover, these people may be suspicious. After all, it has been quite a while since Sumo appeared in the New Moon Kingdom. As a traveler, as long as the IQ is not flawed, he can perceive the problems inside. Sumo said lightly. A few people came to me late at night just to talk about this? Gerald couldn't see anything from Sumo's expression. He glanced at a few Duke heirs and said, of course not. The Earl knows that in the capital, we and the protagonist are basically in a clear state. State of the cards. Sumo looked at him. If that's the case, why don't you guys get rid of them? Gerald showed a wry smile. If there was such a good solution, it would have been solved long ago. In fact, if they were not in the capital, it would have been much easier. Is it? Sumo's tone remained flat. These people are looking for him. I am afraid the main reason is still suspicious. Otherwise, none of them can solve it. What's the use of finding Sumo a little Earl? These people don't know Sumo's other identity. Gerald nodded and said, it is not so easy to kill people in the capital. Even if we are nobles, in fact, the restrictions on nobles in the capital are even greater. Sumo asked, how many are there? He doesn't want to listen to his nonsense anymore. Why they couldn't solve it, Sumo didn't have to wonder why. In the capital, how could it be so easy to start? The protagonist's early warning range is even larger. As long as the protagonist perceives the danger, there are too many ways to save his life. It's like Li Mang, the protagonist of Krypton Goldstream who hid in the Holy Moon Magic Academy before. These protagonists all have gold fingers, as long as they show a little talent, enter the Magic Academy in the capital, or some other power that can keep them, it is not too simple. In the beginning, there were only a few protagonists, but the protagonists have been coming in these days. There are already more than a dozen protagonists in the capital. If things go on like this, their number will increase. That's what we are worried about. Gerald wrote. Sumo understands their worries. These protagonists also discovered the benefits of being in the capital. In other places, although they are better to hide, but not every protagonist's gold finger is suitable for hiding all the time. Some of the protagonist's gold fingers need to move around. Has been hidden, their development is also limited. In the capital, as long as these protagonists are more careful and don't give the villains a chance to do something, they can develop faster. After all, where is the capital with such a population and strong people? Just like the protagonist who picked up the attribute system, if he came to the capital, the development would be much faster. Several days after the game started, many protagonists have reacted. On the protagonist forum, there may be people who share their experiences. Therefore, the number of protagonists in the royal capital will probably only increase. We originally thought of intercepting outside the capital, but there are too many capitals, and the warning range of these protagonists is larger than ours. They are more careful and can always bypass us. As long as we can't find them, our subordinates are also very good. It's hard to tell them apart. Gerald said again. These protagonists in the capital have already made him feel difficult. As for why they don't look outside. Just kidding, the Crescent Kingdom is so big, they have a lower chance of finding it. Except for one of the other protagonists that Sumo killed, the others were discovered by the powerful intelligence organization he built. This intelligence organization has used Sumo for several years, but it is not omnipotent. Even if some suspected protagonists are discovered, because of the identity of the other party, it is not easy for people in the intelligence organization to take them away. In addition, there are many more hidden protagonists that have not been discovered. After all, the New Moon Kingdom is a powerful kingdom with a population of over 100 million in a vast territory. Although these villains in the capital city have higher status, they are no match for Sumo in intelligence gathering. On the contrary, if you stay in the capital, you might be able to find an opportunity to kill one or two protagonists. Where are they all? Sumo asked again. Gerald took another look at the heirs of the dukes who were sitting at the top. After these duke heirs nodded, Gerald said, there should be 3 to 5 in the Holy See, and 2 of them have joined the preparatory group of the Temple Knights. These protagonists are the most difficult to kill. People from the Holy See. The risk of killing is too great, not to mention they are very careful. Holy See. These protagonists are really smart. It was nothing more than in the capital, but he actually joined the Holy See. The people of the Holy See, not even the king can move casually. Even if they send someone to kill them, once they are found out, the consequences will be very serious. Although they are a little secretive, they may not be able to find them, but those protagonists are not stupid, they are in the capital. How do you kill them? In addition to the protagonist in the Holy See, there are several others in the New Moon Magic Academy. One of them has become a close disciple of a sanctuary. As long as he does not leave the capital, the possibility of us wanting to kill is too small. Gerald continued. Sure enough, there are people hiding in the Magic Academy. There are also 2 protagonists in the palace guards of the palace. Although their status is not high, it is not easy for us to deal with them in the palace. The Queen's guards, we have no chance to intervene. There is another one that shined in the official exam just now, and it has also been taken seriously. Gerald continued. Soon, they will roughly explain the situation of these protagonists in the capital. These protagonists are really hard to kill for them. Of course, it's hard to kill, but it's not impossible to kill. They are also preparing, such as preparing to invite some powerful assassins. The problem is that in the capital, the risk of taking action is too great. The time of the shot is too short to be delayed, and it will be over if it is delayed. As soon as the sanctuary senses the fluctuation of the battle, it will come quickly, and the possibility of escape is very small. Here, the most difficult protagonist should be in the Holy See. I even suspect that there is a chance that there is a gold-level protagonist hidden in it. Gerald said again. Gold protagonist. The level of the protagonist does not represent their strength, but represents their gold finger level and their own luck. If there is a gold-level protagonist, then the opponent must have a gold-level gold finger. Gold-level gold finger. Whether it is the growth rate or the growth limit, it is too high. Of course, this is just speculation, and we haven't confirmed it yet. Gerald added. The general situation, Sumo understands. So, I want to invite the Count to join our New Moon Villain Alliance, otherwise, once they grow up, we will all suffer. After Gerald finished explaining the general situation, he officially explained his purpose. As for the benefit after killing the protagonist, whoever contributes the most must get the most benefit. He quickly added another sentence. Crescent Villain Alliance? Sumo asked. Gerald gave an and said, the Villain Alliance established by several Duke heirs has now joined a lot of villains. If we can clean up the protagonists in the New Moon Kingdom in the future, we can also form a group. Further marching into the entire world of the gods. After speaking, Gerald looked at Sumo expectantly. Not interested in. However, what he waited for was the 3 words of Sumo. Hearing Sumo's answer, the expressions of the other villains in the room changed. One of the villains almost stood up and was about to speak, but was stopped by a Duke heir. Gerald probably didn't expect that Sumo would refuse. He looked at the heir of the Duke who stopped him, and the other nodded again. Gerald said, the Count doesn't have to make a decision too quickly. Let's do this, we can add a villain group first, and we will share any news about the protagonist in the future. It is good. This time, Sumo agreed. So, Sumo joined a villain group. There are quite a few people in this villain group, there are dozens of people. After joining the group, Sumo stood up and left. An Earl, at most a bronze-level villain, is so dragged. Mad at me. After Sumo left, the villain who was just about to speak finally couldn't bear it anymore. There should be something wrong with this Earl of the Blackstone country. He was too calm from beginning to end. Even if he heard that the protagonist might have a gold finger, there was no change. This is not like the reaction of a bronze-level villain. A Duke heir analyzed it. Well, I also think there is a problem. For example, cement and porcelain were made more than a year ago. Could it be that he crossed before us? Another Duke heir Dao. It shouldn't be possible, but it really doesn't make sense. Let's see if he will do anything. The heir to the highest-ranking Duke here also spoke. Then, they began to discuss how to deal with these protagonists in the capital. There are 3 days left, and I'm also in the capital. I'll take this opportunity to see if I can get rid of some of the protagonists. You must not do it before the goddess blesses you, and then do it after the blessing. I suggest to ambush more people around the capital. Aren't these protagonists gathering in the capital? Find a way to rob and kill some outside. Difficult, their warning range is wider than ours. In the chat group called Crescent Villain, many villains are chatting. Among these villains, many villains are also preparing to take advantage of the opportunity of the goddess's blessing ceremony to come to the capital for the reason of watching the ceremony. Then join forces with the villains in the capital to deal with these protagonists in the capital. After Sumo's eyes swept over the news of the group, he closed the villains panel. The protagonist in the royal capital is not too difficult for Sumo to deal with. However, he had to wait until the blessing ceremony was over before starting. For him, the most important thing at the moment is the blessing ceremony. Sumo took out a lot of information from the space ring. Scan quickly. These information are the information collected by Nancy's intelligence organization about the various big noble families in the New Moon Kingdom. Sanctuary, no wonder, Sumo whispers. In the New Moon Kingdom, none of these noble families are simple. Among the several nobles that Sumo met just now, a sanctuary was born in a duke family. This sanctuary is currently in the New Moon capital. This sanctuary should be the greatest support of that duke family. It is also the reliance of these villains. This is the sanctuary of serious children. Much stronger than the sanctuary in the silver ring. One only has the soul left, and the other maintains complete strength, which is naturally incomparable. These guys are quite cautious. Even if there is a sanctuary, it is not easily used. Although they were suspicious of Sumo, they probably didn't take Sumo too seriously. As a result, a lot of information is not hidden from Sumo. Sumo could easily see that these guys should be brewing a wave of attacks against the protagonists. Sir, here we are. The female officer Arya's voice sounded. The hotel has arrived. Sumo got off the carriage and checked into a hotel. Arya quickly arranged for the maid to call water and wait on Sumo to wash. Just as he was about to rest, Sumo received another magic letter. Sumo saw that it was written by Melina. She is legendary. In addition, she has applied to join the Magic Council, and the possibility of passing it is very high. After reading the magic letter, Sumo rested. Early the next morning, the people sent by the Queen of the New Moon were already waiting outside the hotel. Today is the time to go to the Holy See of the Crescent Moon. Sumo got into the carriage, and soon, arrived at the agreed place. It was the center of the entire capital, below the pyramid that was floating in the air. The Queen of the Crescent Moon has also been there. You're here. Seeing Sumo, she showed a big smile. Since seeing Sumo yesterday, her mood has become extraordinarily beautiful. Let's go. After New Moon Queen finished speaking, she stretched out her hand. It's ready to go. And the purpose of her reaching out was to ask Sumo to help her. This is the handrail ceremony for the ladies of the world of the gods when they board the carriage. This kind of handrail is naturally very particular. Just put the back of the hand up and let the ladies support it. It would be rude not to grab the other's hand. However, the Queen of the Crescent Moon had never extended her hand in front of a noble before. She is a saint. Can't even touch a man's hand. But, today, she made an exception. There was also a faint blush on her face. She still looks majestic, but in fact, she is very uneasy in her heart. Because she's worried. Sumo doesn't move. But soon, she breathed a sigh of relief as Sumo reached out and helped her into the carriage. In the heart of the Queen of the New Moon, it was as sweet as eating honey. The two carriages, surrounded by a large number of knights, walked towards the church. This is the largest church in the Crescent Kingdom, and the building complex behind it is where the clergy of the Holy See work. As for the temple in the sky, ordinary people can't enter. There really is a protagonist in the Holy See. Several warning messages appeared on Sumo's villain panel. There are currently 8. This means that there are 8 protagonists around here. These 8 protagonists may not all join the Holy See, and they may also be hiding nearby. After all, the villains here are face to face with them. Don't even dare to do it, unless the villain is dying. Soon, the two approached the church. Not far away, a group of temple knights wearing enchanted armor passed by neatly. Su Mo looked there and met the gaze of a Templar knight. This is a protagonist. Su Mo recognized it instantly. The Templar also recognized Su Mo, and at such a close distance, Su Mo's identity was already indicated on his panel. The corners of the temple knight's mouth were slightly upturned, and there was a strong provocation in his eyes. Seems to say, "I'm here, you come and kill me." Interesting. Su Mo's gaze and expression did not change in any way. Not angry or anything. On the contrary, he finds it interesting. The protagonist is a bit arrogant. That team of temple knights, that is, the reserve knights, in the reserve knights, the strength is only 1 or 2 ranks at most. This kind of strength is definitely not enough to provoke an earl. Not to mention, this earl is still a villain. But this guy did just that. This is for sure. Su Mo can't do anything about him? After all, this is the heart of the Holy See. The sky is the core temple of the crescent moon goddess, and the goddess's eyes will fall at any time. Who dares to do it here? Stop, Su Mo said. The carriage stopped. The temple knight didn't panic when he saw the carriage stopped, but the provocation in his eyes became stronger. A look to watch Su Mo perform. If it weren't for the presence of other people around, this guy might still be provocative. What's wrong? As soon as Su Mo's carriage stopped, the Queen Crescent Moon, who had been paying attention to Su Mo's side, noticed it, and the carriage also stopped. Then, Queen Crescent lifted the curtain and asked. The Templar's eyes lit up when he saw the Queen of the Crescent Moon. The Queen of the Crescent Moon is not only the most beautiful queen, but also the #1 beauty in the Crescent Moon Kingdom. Such a queen is too attractive for these unrestricted traversers. Especially these guys who are the protagonists. I am afraid that conquering the Queen of the Crescent Moon has become one of their goals. At this time, he did not realize the seriousness of the problem. Until Su Mo spoke up. Queen, what's up with that Templar? Just been provoking me. Hearing Su Mo's words, the pretty face of Queen Crescent Moon was instantly covered with frost. Kathy, get that team of Templars over here. Dolly, notify the Inquisitors over here. The Queen of the New Moon said coldly. Yes, Your Majesty. Kathy and Dolly take their own orders. Soon, Kathy came to the team of Templar Knights and took out a token. The Saint has an order, you all go over. Yes. The captain of the team of Templar Knights saluted respectfully, and then walked over with the team of Knights. Why is he with the Queen? At this time, the protagonist of the Temple Knights was a little panicked. He had sensed something was wrong. After joining the Temple Knights of the Holy See, it was too difficult for others to move him. If in other kingdoms, the king wants to move him, it is not so easy. But here is the New Moon Kingdom. The current Queen of the Crescent Moon has another identity. The Virgin of the New Moon Goddess, Saintess, the power in the Holy See is very large. Although, the current Queen of the New Moon is ready to hand over power to the new Saintess. But she hasn't completed the handover after all. Therefore, if the Queen of the Crescent Moon wants to interfere in the affairs of the Holy See, it's totally okay. After trying to understand this layer, I watched the team get closer and closer to Su Mo's carriage. The smile on the protagonist's face gradually solidified. Soon, the team of Temple Knights came to the front of the two carriages. He should have just come here with Queen Crescent Moon. I didn't do anything excessive, that is, to provoke an earl. Even if Queen Crescent Moon is a saint, it can't cure me. The protagonist's heart quickly settled down again. Although it didn't feel good, after thinking about it carefully, he felt that it was very likely that he would survive this crisis. In his opinion, it is possible that Su Mo happened to be with the Queen of the Crescent Moon. He provokes Su Mo, and then Su Mo sues the Queen of the Crescent Moon. Su Mo is an earl after all. The earl is not too big, but not too small. It can be said to be the backbone of a kingdom. Therefore, the Queen of the Crescent Moon will definitely ask about Su Mo's petition. The protagonist is not prepared to default, that is, not prepared to lie. With Goldfinger, his growth rate is fast, but after all, the time is too short. The strength is not strong. If you lie, it is easy to be detected by the people of the Holy See. Isn't that just provoking the earl? The provocation is real. At that time, he made up another reason. For example, he had a holiday with Su Mo before, so he came to be a little provocative in expression. It's not too big of a deal. What can be done about him? After thinking about it carefully, the protagonist let go of his worries. Hey, make a big deal out of it. When I grow up, I will kill you and slaughter the dog. The protagonist hummed softly. It's not that he hasn't provoked other villains before. In his opinion, even if he doesn't provoke, the villains will not let him go. Moreover, he likes to watch the villain get angry, but he can't kill him. Thinking of this, he looked at Queen Crescent Moon again. Sooner or later I'll take you in. The protagonist's thoughts on the Queen of the New Moon are not much. After all, the Queen of the New Moon is too beautiful. Before he crossed over, even those internet celebrities with level 10 or even level 100 beauty were not half as good as her. What's more, there is also the status and the bonus of status. The identity of the Queen directly doubled the charm and absorption of the Queen of the Crescent Moon several times. Holy Maiden, the 8th team of the 3rd Reserve Regiment of the Knights Templar is reporting to you. This time, the captain of the Temple Knights reported loudly to the Queen of the Crescent Moon. The captain doesn't know the situation yet. For them, the Queen of the New Moon's status as a saint is much more important than her status as a queen. So, when they saw the Queen of the Crescent Moon, they only called the Holy Maiden, not the Queen. The Queen of the New Moon swept over the protagonist and said nothing. Seeing that Queen Crescent Moon did not speak, her face was a little cold, and there was confusion in the head of this team of Temple Knight captains. Don't understand what's going on. Queen Crescent didn't say a word, and he didn't dare to leave, so he had to stand up straight and wait for Queen Crescent's instructions. It didn't take long. In the distance, a carriage came quickly. When he saw the flag on the carriage, the protagonist's expression changed again. Even the people from the court are called? The protagonist is starting to be less optimistic. The Inquisition is the Inquisition, which is equivalent to a law enforcement agency in the Holy See. It's just that they don't judge ordinary people. They don't even care about some criminals. They judged the infidels in the Crescent Kingdom, and they also oversaw the people in the entire Holy See. In addition, preventing demons from deceiving people is also an important job for them. In fact, there are very few heretics now. There is more than one god. If some people believe in other gods, they will often sneak to the kingdom of that god, and the tribunal cannot judge the affairs of other kingdoms. People in the Holy See are very afraid of the Inquisition. What if the people from the court are here? I don't believe it. A few expressions and eyes can kill me. HMPH, I am the protagonist with more than 100 luck. The protagonist so comforted himself. Soon, the people from the tribunal came. A total of 2 people. The 2 men were wearing dull black robes, and the emblem embroidered on their necks was unsettling at the sight of them. Presiding judge. The protagonist recognized one, and although he was sure that he would be fine, his heart sank. Even people at the presiding level were dispatched. He didn't think about it either. This is the order of the Holy Maiden, and the level of the people dispatched must not be too low. Saint. What are your orders? The presiding judge didn't talk nonsense, and went straight to the topic. The Queen of the Crescent Moon didn't watch sumo. His eyes swept across the knights of the temple. Her gaze made the hearts of the reserve knights swept tensed. Although they were confused and had no idea what was going on. But now the battle is so big that even the people from the referee are dispatched. Obviously something happened that they didn't know. Soon, Queen Crescent's gaze rested on the protagonist. After staying for a second, Queen Crescent looked at the presiding judge. Chief Judge Chris, may I ask, because I'm about to step down as a saint, so even the reserve knights of the Holy See can disrespect me, and even blaspheme me with disgusting eyes? The Queen of the New Moon said coldly. Her words instantly shocked the protagonist. To suffer. The protagonist's face changed greatly. He never imagined that the Queen of the Crescent Moon would actually call his provocation toward Sumo her own. This move is too cruel. Because, if it is a provocation to Sumo, at most a few words will be scolded, just an earl. It's nothing here in the Holy See. But now the Queen of the Crescent Moon is taking things over. The nature is different. Equally horrified was Chief Judge Chris of the tribunal. Because the words of the Queen of the New Moon are too heavy. The Queen of the New Moon has never said such a heavy word before. Judge Chris's expression also changed drastically. The Holy Maiden rests her anger. I will definitely give the Holy Maiden an explanation. Presiding Judge Chris did not shirk. After reassuring the Queen of the Crescent Moon, he turned around. Who? He said fiercely. My lord, I am wronged. I did not treat the saint. The protagonist couldn't collapse anymore. He clearly knew that he couldn't hide it if he wanted to. So, run out and get ready to clarify. But he never imagined that before he finished speaking, Chief Judge Chris moved his hands. In the next second, if the protagonist was hit hard, his eyes darkened and he vomited out a mouthful of blood. Immediately afterwards, a rope suddenly appeared on his body, instantly tying him up. Saint, this son has been taken by me, please let me go. After Judge Chris eliminated the protagonist, he said to Queen Crescent Moon. The Queen of the Crescent Moon swept over the protagonist, and then naturally swept over Sumo. Sumo's fingers pointed at him without a trace. The Queen of the New Moon understood instantly. This person is not only disrespectful to me, but also disrespectful to the Earl of the Blackstone Country. Let him be expelled from the Knights and handed over to the Earl of the Blackstone Country. The New Moon Queen said lightly. Let it be handled by the Earl of the Blackstone Land? Judge Chris was taken aback. People of the Holy See, even if they make mistakes, it should be handled by the Holy See. The Earl of the Blackstone Land will handle it for me. Is there any problem? Judge Chris. You don't know yet. The Earl of the Blackstone Land will also participate in this blessing ceremony. That's it, I'll let you hear first and wait. After the Earl of Moishi Land has dealt with the matter, he will come again. After the Queen of the Crescent Moon finished speaking, she got back into the carriage without giving Judge Chris any chance. Presiding Judge Chris still wanted to speak, but had no chance. The words of the Queen of the Crescent Moon have obviously had an effect. It is said that Sumo is handled on behalf of, and being able to participate in the blessing ceremony is also a symbol of piety in itself. So, Judge Chris finally accepted the plan. I will detain the person first. After the Earl has dealt with the matter, he can come to the court to find me and bring the person. Judge Chris said to Sumo. PFF'd, hearing Judge Chris's words, the protagonist who had just recovered from the concussion spat out a mouthful of blood.